Well, good morning or evening, good afternoon. I don't know what day of the week it is, or not day of the week, what time of the day it is for all of you watching. I guess I know what day of the week it is, but I don't know what day of the week it is for you watching this episode of Unfiltered. I just want to say welcome back, and as always, like, share, and follow the page as much as you can with your friends, your family. Comment on the videos that we create. We'd love to hear back from you. Obviously, we can't have super long conversations on the YouTube page, but hey, you can still email us at info@myrootschurch.com, and maybe we can reach out to you in that way if need be. But today I have a guest with me. It's my beautiful wife, Erin. Say hi to Erin.
Hello.
Or I should say, Erin, say hi to them. We decided that we were going to do another episode together, and today we're going to talk about dating. I think first, this is going to be a very candid conversation. You have no notes?
Nope, nothing.
I have no notes. I don't even have a laptop today because I'm just literally going to go off of whatever we talk about. Speak from our hearts, speak from wisdom and knowledge that we have from 28 years of being married and all the years of being in ministry. And the first thing, though, I do want to talk about before we get into dating as a married couple, we probably ought to just touch a little bit on dating, what that looks like from our perspective before people get married.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because you and I both think that there's a boundary there that needs to be set, because if we're not careful and we date maybe what I would say too serious before we're even ready to get married, right? Before we're even, we see kids all the time. Unfortunately, I would have to say you and I even did this, right? Early on in our relationship before we knew what we know now. Mm-hmm. That's usually how we get a lot of our information, is from our own experience and learning sometimes the hard way. Yeah. But we see so many young people get so serious about their dating relationship, and then when things don't work out, what do?
They
break up. And then they date somebody else. And when those things don't work out, what do? Mm-hmm. They break up. Yep. And then it just becomes this cycle. And what we have seen and what we believe is it's kind of practicing divorce for when you get married and things don't work out. Because I'll tell you right now, things are not always going to work out when you get married. And you just can't leave the person and move on to the next relationship. But unfortunately, that's what we see today in the world, is when things get tough, when people have a really hard time getting past something, or something they don't like with the other person, or maybe what the other person did, or what they currently do or don't do, what they say, what they don't say, is they just say we're not meant for each other. Right. The sparks just aren't flying like they used to. Mm-hmm. And the what do they call that? The not harmony, but the chemistry is not the same. And so they divorce. They remarry, they have the same feelings 10 years, 5 years down the road, they divorce, they remarry, and it just becomes this repetitive process. Mm-hmm. So in saying all that, let's just briefly talk about what we think it should look like when we should, in the dating scene before we're ready to get married. What would you say in a short, whatever you want to say? I'll let you start.
I think for me, it kind of goes even before you start dating. So when you're a child and when you're young, commitment levels are just, and I'm talking like today, this day and age, I feel like commitment within people, parents, families, people in general, like parents are not teaching their children to even be committed to things and faithful to things, even in the small things and the things of life, as jobs or as a commitment to, when you tell someone you're going to go somewhere and do something, they just let them not go, or be a part of a team. They let them just get out of it. So there's a commitment. There's a learned behavior of commitment early on in a person's life. And what happens is if that is fed and that just keeps being allowed not to, I guess, be practiced.
Yeah. If the parents not teach them that.
Sure. And I think it's really, really an epidemic at this a day and age. And so that, to me, it starts there. And then once you get into a relationship, then it's easy to just step out. It's easy just to give up. It's easy just to not commit. It's easy not to, and
So if
It's
you don't
one
have
thing.
the commitment before,
Yeah.
just in general things,
Yes,
then
it's
what makes
just
you
like
think you're
that
going to
whole
be committed
ethical, kind of like ethical
Yeah,
commitment that
yeah.
people just don't have these days. That's one thing. The second thing is I see parents pushing their kids into relationships super early, way before they're even ready to know what a relationship is even really about,
or what love is.
Yeah, I mean the Bible talks about it, and I believe it's Song of Solomon, that not to awaken love until the time is right. So there is a time, there is a season for that, and so I think it's really sad how parents just are putting that, oh, he got a little boyfriend, oh, a little girlfriend. It's just like this, like it's cute and it's encouraged, and it's that's also an epidemic.
I mean, today it's a great thing that your daughter likes a boy.
Yes,
Or your boy likes a girl. Okay, those are good things, and you could probably celebrate those things.
Yes.
But as far as encouraging the dating relationship
Yes.
and allowing them to do things together is what's
Just
dangerous.
super-
I want to go back on the commitment thing. So it's absolute. I agree with you, 100% true that we in today's world we don't see a lot of people making commitments just in their life in general. As an example, I'll be very I don't know what's the word I want to use, vague in this situation. But recently I was involved in an event, and we were told that somebody was going to get us information by a certain time. That person did not get that information and the time. It was literally like 5 hours later. Well, then the next day, after we got all the information, they were supposed to pick up what they dropped off by a certain time. And again, guess what? It was hours later. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I could not work with this person.
Yeah.
I cannot work with people that say they're going to do something or be there at a certain time and then never call, never text, never communicate anything, and then just show up whenever they show up.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. This is a grown adult, married adult with kids that did this. Yeah. And inside of me, I wanted to say, where's your commitment? Where is your do as I say attitude or mantra? Because to me, I was frustrated by that. And I agree. I think there's kids today that say they're going to do things, but then something better comes up after they've already committed, and then they lie or they back out of the commitment and they go do the very thing that they really want to do.
It's not just kids, it's adults.
Right, it's
also.
adults.
Yeah, totally.
It's everybody today. So you're right. Commitment.
It's sad. Super sad.
There's a lot of lack of commitment, just in the general sense of lack of commitment.
And if you have that foundation, that bleeds over.
Sure it does. Well, here's the deal. It's your character.
Yeah.
And I am huge on character.
Yep.
You know this. My team knows this. My family knows this. That if I say I'm going to do something, then I make sure that I do it. Now, am I perfect at this? No. Have I failed? Yes. But I think my wife could vouch for me that if I say I'm going to do something, I would say, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'd say it's got to be 90+% of the time I actually do what I say.
Yes, it's 99%.
99%. There you go.
Even
you heard
at
it.
the point where it's been something that's not super desirable.
You're right, right.
Like there's been a moment where it's
overcommitting.
Yes, overcommitting. It's not really a desirable thing that we want to do or he wants to do.
Or something better comes up after
Yeah.
I've already committed.
Yeah,
And
and he could have gotten out of it, but
Yeah.
he, what they call, he ate crow.
Yeah. Yeah.
He ate crow and actually did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I respect people that do that because it's just a lost thing these days. So.
Well, you know what you're going to get, and you know the commitment's there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've talked about this in our own relationship. I mean, we hardly ever have any problems, of course.
What? I'm like, wait, that's got to be a joke.
It is. But the thing of it is, we've made the commitment no matter what hell we go through, no matter how hard it gets, we've made a commitment to one another that we are going to stick together. Mm-hmm. And it's been 28 years, and actually in about 4 months, it'll be, not even 4, let's say it'll be October, November, December, January. Yeah, about 4 months, it'll be 29 years that we've been married. Yep. So I think we've done very well, and we're going to continue that. But let's back up to the second thing that you said about parents pushing their kids into dating. And I think just so if you're listening and you're a parent, don't be offended by that. We're not gonna apologize for everything we say, but at the same time, don't be offended if we're saying, listen, if you're a parent out there and you're saying it's cute for your kids to date and you kind of push them towards that, we're not mad at you. We're not saying, that there's going to be a lot of problems. We're just saying it's not wise. So you need to understand the Bible actually doesn't even talk. The word dating and courting never talk about before marriage. There's nothing in the Bible that actually directs people in dating or courting before marriage. There are principles in the Bible, though, and that's where a lot of people get messed up, is there's a lot of principles in the Bible that we don't go by when it comes to dating before marriage, because a lot of people say, well, it's not in the Bible. Okay, great, but there's a lot of principles in the Bible that do teach us that we got to be having boundaries. And I would say, here's what I would say, so we can jump to the meat of what we want to talk about, is you need to teach your children that if they are not ready to settle down and get married, then they do not ever need to be in a serious relationship. Right. No matter what, it should not be serious. They can go out and they can have fun. They can go on a date, so to speak. But if this person is boyfriend and girlfriend at the age of 12, 13, all the way up to 17, 18, and they are not ready to get married, they should not be exclusive with each other. They should just like each other. They should go on dates together. They should go out with other people. It should really be more of group dating than individual dating with one another, especially in today's world. Because otherwise you're just setting yourself up for a lot of problems if you're not pre-deciding some things into that relationship. But once you decide, let's hit the second thing. I wanted to go from like in the beginning to, okay, now we're serious to getting married. Aaron and I also believe that once you get to the place that you're serious and you want to get married, so you start dating seriously and you find somebody, this doesn't mean you're jumping around again. By the time you find somebody that you like, this should be the person that you've already vetted and prayed for, that God brings into your life, that when you finally start dating them, sure, 3 months in you might say this isn't the person, okay? But hopefully you've done your homework. Hopefully you've done your praying to where that person does come in your life. Now you're dating them. We also don't believe that it should be a very long dating season before you actually get engaged either. Because then it just drags out and then gives you the excuse if something doesn't work out in 1 to 2 years that you just break it off and start over, which is not healthy, because we both know that love is a choice. It's not a feeling.
Well, in preparation for that dating process, like, I hate to jump backwards a little bit, but that moment where you're prepping for dating process is so vital. You can't just go, oh, this person looks good, or oh, this person, is good looking, or he's got a great job, got a lot of money, he could support me, take me and get me things. You got to like dig deeper. You got to like, I point every young girl that I know to the book, God Help Me Find a Soulmate. And it's a book that you read, and throughout the book, you actually are specific, and you go in and you actually write down the desires of your heart, and it teaches you how to date well, how to look for that person, how to pray for that person. Not even look, but just be expectant of the desires of your heart that God will fulfill. And so it is absolutely vital that you are, like you said, I like that word, vetting. That vetting process is so important, because once you get to that process and you go through it, then you're confident when that person comes. You're almost like checking off the boxes, So that step is super important when you get into coming into the next.
Like, for instance, the very first thing in the vetting process, don't answer yet, but let's ask the question. What do you think the number one thing should be in that person's life before you start dating them? Okay, you had a chance to answer. What do you think it is?
It's if they're a Christ follower.
Yeah. So, one, are they a Christ follower?
Not just a Christian. Because everybody can be a Christian.
Right. But the second, which I feel goes hand in hand, it's an A-B, right? Part A, part B of the very number one thing is, one, are they a believer? And two, do they already go to church?
Yes.
Do they already go to church? Because if they do not go to church, they shouldn't even be on your list.
Yes.
Because that means they're not serving God in the capacity that you want them to. Here's the interesting thing that comes to this. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day. They want a girl that is this respectful, loving, kind, thoughtful person. But yet this person isn't that way.
Yeah, they're not following God themselves.
They're not following God themselves. They want a godly woman, but yet they're not godly.
Right.
They want respect, but they're not respectful.
Yeah, you're only going to attract what you are.
I told him, I said, here's the thing that you need to listen to. And you've heard this a million times if you've been around Aaron and I. You got to become the person you're looking for is looking for. Because if you're not a God follower and you do not go to church and you are not the things that you're... If the person you're looking for is all these amazing qualities... and you're not that person,
they're not looking at you.
That person is not looking for you.
No.
So there ain't a chance on earth that person you're looking for is going to look at you that way because you're not that way.
I mean, I could tell you this, that when our kids were in that season of life, I'd be like, are they like you? Because if you're becoming this person that you know God wants you to be in order to take that next step, are they like you? Are they serving in the church, which is a huge deal? Do they give away of themselves? Are they serving? Do they love on people? Do they love
give
God?
to the church?
Are they givers? Absolutely. Do they learn? Are they learners? Are they constantly wanting to be in the church and be there for themselves? You know, there's all these questions that we have had, you know, right at the forefront.
And listen, a lot of people will hear us talk and be like, oh, that just sounds too much, and there's just nobody out there like that. Yes, there is people out there like that. It's just a smaller group of people out there like that, which makes your chances better to find the person that you're looking for. Because, listen, you can go fishing in the sea all you want, but if you're trying to catch perch and you're in the ocean, you probably aren't going to catch perch. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in the right pond fishing. And so if you're looking for a Christian woman or a Christian man, you have to make sure that they're already going to church and doing all the things that you want them doing. And you got to be doing that. Otherwise, that person isn't looking for you.
Yeah, and you know, we have to go back to the promises of God. Like in the scripture, you know, one of the scriptures that pops out at me when you were talking about that is, wide is the gate. Wide is the gate that the world travels. And so... you can sit there and you can travel this wide road that everybody's going down, and there's going to be lots of people, lots of choices, lots of fish in the sea, right? But if you take that narrow, uncomfortable path that is also in the scripture, narrow is the road that leads to life and so many other great things.
Well, and
paraphrasing, but that's the road. When you take that road, that's the road of faith. That's the road that you're choosing. That's God's going to lead you down in the right way.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to say is the fact that some of you are probably thinking, well, this is just too far-fetched. But the truth of the matter is, we know from experience of the things that we're speaking of that when you do it God's way, always works out better when you do it God's way. We're only giving you God's way. This isn't our opinion. Some of it is our opinion. There's no doubt from our experience. We have seen hundreds of people go through relationships. I have sat down literally with probably over 100 different people in their relationship, and they tell me all about that person, and I tell them, this isn't going to work, and here's why. And guess what? 99.9% of the time, it doesn't work. And it's because of exactly what I said. Why? Because the principles we're talking about is what works. Yes. It's the thing we're saying. It's not our opinion. It's the principles that we're speaking of. Right. So you have to be very, very careful when it goes into this. And you have to trust the Lord. Lean not on your own understanding, but trust the Lord in all the things that you do. And He will make your path straight. That's what Scripture says.
He'll make it,
He'll make your path straight. You don't want to go down a curvy road. Your relationship like this or like this, up and down and all these emotions. No, if you go down the path of God, He'll make it straight. It's not always going to be easy. And sometimes He'll bring the right person. You'll be like, what? How did this happen?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes a while for that person to come because I've got a young girl that I'm mentoring right now and helping her in the waiting season. So the waiting season is a tough season. That's like a season that's like, feels like it will never end. And the enemy does a number on you in that season. You feel like you're not worthy. You feel like don't have what it takes. You feel like you don't have the confidence, the beauty. You feel like you don't have, there's so many things the enemy can like lie to you about in that season, when really it's the most beautiful season and the most growing season of your life, getting you prepared for the season that God has for you after that. So
patience is a virtue.
Yeah. And honestly, like, if you don't figure it out, that the waiting season can be beautiful and can be refining and can be completely amazing.
Rewarding.
Rewarding. If you don't figure that out and you just stay stuck in that season and you don't use it to help you grow, you will stay there.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you right now that you will stay there. But it's when we're trusting and we're just doing all the work. We're work on the back end. I always say work on the back end and the rewards on the front end. Work on the front end and the rewards on the back. It literally is that way. And before you know it, sometimes you feel like you're not even ready. God will bring somebody through the back door, and you're like, "What? This is not the door I thought you'd bring him through." But it's absolutely the case.
Yeah.
Absolutely the case.
And what's funny about when she said when you're in the waiting,
Yeah.
we actually have 3 children. 2 of them are married, and we have one now that is finally had been waiting patiently, but now in a season of serious relationship.
Yeah.
And we have a text thread with all of us in it called The Waiting Room. That's the name of the text group, The Waiting Room, which means he and his partner, his girlfriend, is on there, but it's called The Waiting Room because they're not married yet.
So what it is, I just want to say that, just to preface and clarify. So we have 2 family text threads. So one of them is just our immediate, like all of our children and their spouses. That is like our first primary. And so then we have a secondary for all the plus ones that are not into the family yet. So that's the one that we named our son-in-law named it The Waiting Room.
Yeah, which is hilarious
really
because
cute.
that's perfect. We have the one with all of us who are married,
yes,
and the ones that are married with their spouses, and then the other one is the ones that are not married yet, which is we're only got one left.
Yeah. So
okay, so we've kind of covered some of that stuff, and I mean, there's so much to talk about. There's no way we're going to cover it all in one episode. But now that we've kind of covered, hey, be careful letting your kids date at a young age. It shouldn't be serious all the way up till even getting engaged. The engagement should be a short engagement. We recommend 6 months to a year. A year is really long. If it's me, I'm going to tell you 6 months. If you know you're going to get married, you need to get married in 6 months or less. That just gives you enough time to plan the wedding. That's it. Plan the wedding. And then the other thing on the wedding is I would really want to encourage you, if you're out there listening and for some reason, don't go overboard on your wedding. There's no need. I mean, listen, we probably went a little more overboard on Zoe because she's my only daughter, and that's the only one. I know.
Only daughter.
But I mean, she's my only daughter I gave away. But we didn't go overboard in all the other things that came with it. I mean, we could have spent way more if we went to a different venue and had it all catered in. We didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
We used our own venue. There's a lot of ways we saved money, but there's some areas that we spent a little extra in. But I would just encourage you, don't go crazy with it, okay? Keep it simple because, it's just not worth going into debt over. Let's talk about dating after you're married. I will tell all of you guys right now, and girls really, but more for the guys, is if you don't date your spouse, someone else will. Someone else will end up sneaking in and doing and saying the right things that you're not doing, and it could lead to infidelity. So you always should be dating your spouse. Ladies, Aaron, you speak to the ladies. What does that look like for you when it comes to dating me? Do you date me?
I tried to. I mean, it's kind of a...
I don't really give you a chance. I'm always taking you on dates.
Right. Actually, he is always been the pursuer and always been more of the initiator. So
I'm the aggressor.
Yes, that is true. I do have ideas, but I don't ever really, I'm like, there's probably something else better he's thinking about. But yeah, actually dating, even having a mindset of dating your husband, what that looks like for me is going to be how I look and how I I want to appear to him, how I want to look as close as I can to the way he married me. Like, that's not going to be completely possible, because do you see this right here? Like, all this gray stuff? Yeah, it does. I have blonde hair. I had blonde hair when we married. And so it's a little bit different in that regard, but even I just want to take care of myself. I want to make sure, and to me, that's part of dating you.
Yeah,
that's
good.
part of, I want to look good for you, and it's not, has nothing to do with anybody else. It is a confidence thing for me. Like, I want to be confident in who I am so that I look good for you. But that is part of dating.
I don't think a lot of women think about that.
Yeah, it's not a.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
I think they're more thinking about taking them somewhere or doing something. But I think you're exactly right. I think the way you look is a part of dating, because it goes the same way for guys.
It does.
How many guys let themselves go?
Yeah.
You know, they're a certain, maybe they're an athlete. They get married 20 years down the road. They got the dad bod or worse.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like teeny bopper here. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you have to look like a teenager, like how you met.
Or a model.
Yeah, nothing like that. It's just really just being aware of yourself. If you go out, if you are, and I would recommend you do it often. We have the privilege that we get to go out every week, every Friday. Honestly, in a realistic world, if you can go out twice a month, I really believe that's a little bit more of a realistic thing.
Well, you saying our life ain't realistic?
No, I mean, I don't work outside the home, and you have a flexible job. So it is easier for us.
Well, and we don't have kids. That's the difference.
We do have grandbabies.
When you have kids at home, it definitely looks different.
Hugging them on that constantly.
But when you don't have kids at home, you should be able to go out every single Friday.
You should. But in that, when you're doing that, it's really taking the time to, wear something nice. Not you don't have to get all dolled up, but just wear something nice. Put some makeup on, do your hair. There is something in the appearance.
Erin was getting frustrated with me the last, few months, because I started dressing up, and she's like,
I'm not really frustrated.
I know, but you're like, well, you going to wear that again? Because, listen, all of us guys know that our wives can dress up, and we can dress down, and it just, obviously, we make them even look better, right? Because we're so trashy looking.
Oh, I think we make you look better, sir.
That's what I just said.
No, you did not say that.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. It's all right.
Well, I think.
Okay, I see where this is going.
No, actually, I think I did say it that way, now that I'm thinking about it. But no. if I'm in like a athletic wear, and you're dressed up a little bit nicer, I mean, it makes you look nicer because you're dressed up and I'm not.
Right. Well,
but you do make us look better because we got a beautiful lady next to us, so people will be like, "How did he get that?"
Oh, I think I like the way you dress now. It's just funny because we were zigging and zagging for a little bit. Do you remember? We were zigging and zagging.
My wear?
Yes, because you used to like dress up and then you kind of dress down and kind of streetwear, and then you dress, you kind of had like this thing, but now you just dress up all the time, which it looks nice, but I'm like, I get so confused.
Well, I just try to look nice everywhere I go. It makes me feel like I would agree, Erin. You said it makes you feel confident.
Yeah.
It does the same for me when I dress up. I feel more confident. I feel more respected as a person when I'm out dressed a certain way, than having a flat bill. And I love flat bills. I love dressing down, but you don't get the same respect as if you do when you dress up. So that's just the way it works. So I started dressing up a little bit more. But I do want to tag on that, on the fact about the dating. You got to be able to date your spouse. It never should end, ever. Should never end. You should always be, men, you should always be pursuing your wife. Do you know what your wife likes? Do you know what she likes to eat, what she would order, what she drinks, what she doesn't drink? I don't care what it is. I confidently, my wife's sitting right next to me, I can confidently order for my wife and know that she's going to like what I order her. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Now, there are times where she might want something a little bit different.
Yeah, but
overall, I could nail it on what she would like, where she likes to eat, her drinks, all of it. I would not have an issue. Even finding places we like to go. So our date day, I'll just kind of explain our date day. We do I mean, we're pretty religious about this.
Yeah, we call it sacred.
It's our sacred day, which is a Friday. The only time it's not real sacred is if we've been on a trip somewhere, or maybe we've agreed that it's just been real busy and we just need to get something done. Then we will agree together that we can split ways that day, or we can do other things as long as we both agree. But 95% of the time, we're going on a date on a Friday. Sometimes it's all day. Sometimes it's we do things around the house till 1 or 2, then we'll go out. Sometimes it's in the morning, come back early. It just depends, but every Friday is our date day. The second part of that date day is when we do go out, we have to find a place that we've never been before. Mm-hmm. And I would say lately we've been nailing that.
Yeah.
We have to find a place we have never been, no matter where it is.
That's the condition.
That's one of the conditions is we got to eat or go somewhere where we've never been, at least one place. Now, you can go to a place you've been before after that, but you got to at least find one place that you've never been. And then the third thing that we've been doing is documenting those places on my notes. I document the name of it. I kind of give a little description. I write down, like, I put a little $sign, and 1, it's kind of cheap, 2, 3 gets expensive, and 4 is like really, really expensive. That's kind of the way I know where to go. Or if somebody asks me, I'll just tell you right now, I've never had a problem being kind of romantic or coming up with creative ways to date or show love. I mean, have I?
No.
I mean, like not too long ago, I put little notes around the house.
Yeah, you sure did.
I don't do it very often. But I put them in places where, so what's funny is
you were realizing there was like
I put them in a place where I know she's going to go.
Yes.
But sometimes she doesn't go there for a while. Depending on where that is.
But you did really good this last time.
Yeah, I mean, I put it on the coffee pot. I put it, in the bathroom, on the sink. I put it.
Oh, and you know what you did? I love this.
What?
It was on a day that Levi was coming over, and you put on the changing table.
I did.
So sweet.
Yeah, Levi was our grandson was coming over that morning, and so I put a little note on the changing table, and then I had one in her car, and she left it in her car for the longest time.
Oh, it's still there.
It is? Mm-hmm. So, just little bitty things that you do for your spouse to just show appreciation and love and just kindness, I guess is the best way to say it. And I don't do it all the time. If you do it all the time, it just becomes what? What would be the word you use?
Mundane or just...
Or it may not mean anything.
Predictable.
Predictable, that's a good word.
Predictable is not a great place to be. Like, it's just like,
And I know we don't do this, but maybe we ought to start doing this. We talked about it, which... planning the date day, like you plan one Friday, I plan a Friday, you plan a Friday. We did that for a while, or early on.
Well, it's just because we understand our gifts, our strengths and our weaknesses.
What she's trying to say is it takes her a while to choose a place.
So if he gives me like the whole week, then I can do it. But in the moment, I am just...
Yeah, I'm the guy that can look something up in the moment and decide she needs 3 days. To decide where to go. And I can tell you right now, on a date day, that is not healthy. No. We end up going home early.
It's never good.
We're like, I'm not doing this. We're going home. Our date day's over.
Oh, I get real like,
So let's be honest with the audience.
Yes.
How many times do you think that's happened?
Oh, gosh. Of me not...
Of us getting frustrated with one another about
going home?
And then going home and say we're going home.
I can't count on 2 hands.
Wait, you think it's been more than 10 times?
I don't know.
I mean, in 29 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
But in the last, let's say, 10 years.
5. Like, it's not been that many times.
No.
I'm saying overall.
Sometimes we turn around and start to go home, and then we stop and we figure out that's not the best way, and we figure it out, and then we turn around and go back. I mean, we're just being real with you, right? I mean, there are times we've driven home. I don't want to be with her. She don't want to be with me. We're going home, and we're separating for a while. But there's other times on the way home we realize that ain't what we both want.
Right.
We figure it out, and then we turn around and we go
Stop
right
at the commuter parking lot.
We have done that several times. So the point is, work it out, right? That's what we try to do. And now, guess what? We can laugh about it.
Yes.
I mean, we're still not holding grudges about those moments because we've worked.
And I heard something really neat. This is just a little add-in, but I heard this guy was talking about how to approach like confrontation or like disagreement. He said a lot of times if you can imagine it like a ball of string, and you take one side of the string and the other person has another side of the string and you pull on it. It's like a knot, okay? So just imagine like a knot, and it's one person's got one side, the other person's got the other side, and when you get into that confrontation, you're pulling. And what happens to that knot whenever you pull on it? It gets tighter and it gets harder to
untie it.
And so he said, when you face each other with this and you're both holding your side, approach your conversation and the struggle as, let's figure this knot out together. Like, you're looking at it, you're looking at the knot. You're not looking at each other, you're looking at the knot. And you're like, let's figure this out together. Because I know you probably have, a lot more ideas. And so you're just kind of figuring it out together. But I love that because even like, say, if we were to get into a struggle or whatever and we'd had to stop, like, figure out the knot. Don't make it to where you pull each other to, you pull sides so hard that you can't get the knot out. And
or you break the string.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't talk about that part. But basically you make that knot get so tight that you don't want it. It's too hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to, figure it out. And you just go home and you give up. So
yeah, that's good.
Figure out the knot together.
That's good. I love all that. And I mean, I think for us, the whole point is we just really wanted to sit down and just have this little conversation about dating. And there's a lot of, again, we could sit here and talk for another hour about dating.
Yeah.
But really, I just wanted to have a candid conversation about what we do, what we recommend. And we get it financially. Maybe some of you, maybe you can't do it as much or whatever. There's a lot of things you can do that don't cost you money.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say, because I've talked to people that are like, wow, it must be nice to, be able to. I'm like, listen, we've not always done and gone, and there's moments where we've done picnics and we've done staycations and we've gone on the boat, where we've our own thing that we do all the time. It's just getting away. It's the idea is getting away.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean every single time you go, oh, we don't have the money, so we're just going to staycation, like stay home every single time. No, there is an extra special something that you need to do to get out. There's something about getting away from your normal day-to-day home life, children, where you can be interrupted. Go to Creve Coeur Lake and walk around it.
Don't let money be the deciding factor that you don't get together, because we didn't have a lot in the very beginning, but we've also created a lot of margin in our life to where we can do more. So that's a whole nother topic, but I would just tell you, if you don't have the money, find a place to create margin. Stop spending money on other things and take the money and put it toward your date day, because this person next to me is the most important person that walks the face of the earth to me. No other thing or person is more important than this person next to me. And so I would be willing to sacrifice other things in order to be with this person right here. And I'll just tell you, if you don't have that attitude, you probably need to go back and do some soul searching, because now you got other struggles that you need to look at. But this person is the most important thing to me, and I'm gonna be willing to sacrifice other things in order to do things with her above anything else. She comes first, and hopefully she recognizes that.
And also knowing how important that is. Speaking to those that do not have children, say you're out there and you are blessed to, your children are all gone, you're a grandparent, you're a parent, and you notice your children have young ones now. This is something that I've actually decided to do for my children that are married, is offer my services and actually be intentional about reminding them to date one another. Yeah. So like our daughter Zoe, they have one, and I'll be like, hey, when's the last time you were on a date? And so she'll be like, it's been, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come over. Like, make it accommodating. Like, do not just sit there and be like, oh, we can bring them to my house. And it doesn't work like that, because they're going to be gone at nighttime. If it's probably at nighttime, if it's daytime, that's different. But be intentional about helping the next generation to be aware of this. Yeah. Because there's not enough of it. Yeah. Sacrifice some of your time to be a blessing to them. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I hope this has helped you today. Again, we didn't want to make this very long, but we just want to shoot some dating things out there. If you want some dating ideas, put it in the chat on the YouTube channel, and I would be happy to respond. Erin can respond if she wants to, but we'll respond to those in the chat because there's so many different things that you can do, so many different ideas. I mean, I got plethora of ideas that you can do. I've helped a lot of guys even do some of the things that I'm doing. And again, even my oldest boy is starting to do the things that we've done with his wife because it works. And trust me, it's not perfect, but it works. So, you have any last closing things that you'd like to tell the world? No? All right. I want to encourage you before you leave to stand firm in your relationship. Yeah. Love your wife first. Your children come second. Actually, God comes first. Your wife comes second. And then your kids. And then your job and your hobbies and whatever else comes after that. Make sure to keep your spouse first. Always date them and keep God in the center of your life. And we can promise you your marriage will work out.
Absolutely.
We love you guys. We'll see you guys next time. And trust me, next week or next podcast episode, you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be talking about amendment number 3, and we're bringing on someone that is super involved in this amendment to get it to fail, which we want it to fail. We want to vote no on 3. She's going to come in and educate you, so I hope you come back and listen next week. Until then, we love you guys, and we'll see you next time.